My younger sister and my childhood friend Charlie Dobson got together. She told Charlie that I bullied her at college. That day after class, Charlie brought people to block me at the alley entrance. In a cold tone, he said, "You should learn your lesson." During the struggle, I hit my head and accidentally lost my memory. When I woke up again, a strange man was sitting by my bed. "Don't you remember me?" He smiled gently, his hand brushing my lips. "Didn't you say you liked me the most? Why are you looking at me with such a strange expression?" Ding! This novel reminds you to click the subscribe button in the bottom right corner to read the complete novel. I was dragged all the way to the open space behind the library. 7 or 8 people stood in front of me. Leading them was Charlie Dobson, the person I had a crush on for many years. "What do you want to do?" I looked at him calmly. "Karina." Charlie tilted his head and looked at me coldly. "Kaya is your sister, your biological sister. How could you bring people to bully her?" I tugged at my lips. "You believe her just because she said so?" Charlie raised his eyes. Meeting my gaze, he suddenly reached out and grabbed my neck. With one hand, he pinned me against the wall behind me. Is it possible that she would slap herself a few times? "What are you still being stubborn about?" "Huh?" He spoke unclearly with a low voice. But even so, I could clearly feel his uncontrollable anger. "Charlie, are you here to seek justice for her now?" Charlie suddenly let go of his hand. "My girlfriend was bullied. Can't I stand up for her?" Several girls standing nearby stepped forward and pinned me down. One of them raised her hand and slapped me. I couldn't move at all. I could only let them do it. Charlie looked at me indifferently, looking down at me. "Karina, you should learn your lesson too." I shouted at him in despair. "Charlie Dobson, you've known me for so many years. Have I ever bullied anyone?" The young man was unmoved. He just glanced at me casually. "Kaya said you were dissatisfied because the teacher gave the last piano competition spot to her last time." After saying that, he sneered again. How can I not believe my girlfriend's words? Any further rebuttal was meaningless. In Charlie's eyes, all my explanations were futile arguments. Slap after slap landed on my face. I just bit my lip and remained silent. "Stop." The hands pressing me down released their force and moved away. Charlie approached and brushed the hair off my face. "Karina, you weren't like this before. Can you be more obedient in the future?" The young man's eyes were dark. "I really hate it when you resist me." Charlie wasn't like this before. Even though he was careless and casual, he treated me very well. When facing my sister, Kaya Horler, he always had a distant demeanor. It seemed to have started that day. After an argument and cold war with Charlie, he changed. "Why are you back so late? Who were you out with?" Charlie was standing under my dormitory building, seemingly waiting for a long time. It was a club dinner, with many people. He gave a half smile. "Why is it that every time the dinner ends, it's always this senior who brings you back?" His questioning tone was somewhat harsh. "Charlie, can you stop doing this every time? What exactly are you imagining?" Whenever I got close to any guy, Charlie would always put on a stern face and interrogate me like a criminal. He silently stared at me for 2 seconds, then nodded and chuckled lightly. "Fine, I guess I'm meddling too much." From that day, Charlie and I entered a cold war. A week later, I gave in. I planned to take the initiative to reconcile and explain to him. The reason I felt safe with that senior sending me back was because his sexual orientation was the same as mine. But when I arrived at his building, I happened to see Kaya standing on tiptoe, kissing him on the lips. The guy had his hands in his pockets, with no intention of dodging. I froze, my foot unconsciously stepped back and kicked a flower pot. The noise was loud. It made both of them turn back simultaneously. "Sis." Kaya stood there with a flushed face, at a loss. Charlie merely raised an eyebrow indifferently. "You came to see me? You guys." I opened my dry lips, finally making a sound after a long while. Kaya reached out to hold Charlie's hand. "Charlie and I are together now." She smiled shyly. "Sis, you're the first to know." Charlie knew I liked him. Once, I overheard a conversation between him and his friends. "Charlie, that childhood friend of yours, Karina Horler, she likes you, right?" He lazily laughed. "Yeah. I thought so. The love in her eyes when she looks at you couldn't be more obvious." "Hey Charlie, do you like her?" Charlie just laughed and didn't answer. Now I know his answer. Kaya started openly dating Charlie. He showed his favoritism towards her blatantly. When Kaya and I were having lunch in the cafeteria, Charlie joined us halfway. Pause. The guy lightly patted Kaya's hand, which was covered in sauce. His tone was helpless yet indulgent. How can you get sauce all over your hands while peeling shrimp? Aren't you silly? Kaya pouted and murmured coquettishly. But I want to eat. Charlie snorted lightly. In such cases, if you have a boyfriend, you can ask your boyfriend to do it. I lowered my head even more, my eyes slightly reddened. I ate more quietly, hoping to finish quickly and not attract their attention. But Kaya, as usual, kept sharing their daily love stories with me, even with Charlie present. Sis, Charlie is really considerate. It turns out he's like this when in a relationship. When I saw him with you before, he didn't seem gentle at all. I quickly adjusted my mood and took the last bite of my meal. Because you're his girlfriend, I said lightly, standing up with my tray. Right. Kaya seemed oblivious, with an innocent smile on her face. After all, you and Charlie are just friends. I forced a smile and said, I'm done eating, then left. Behind me, their casual conversation continued. Right, Charlie? Yes, I only like you. Now eat the shrimp before it gets cold. I unconsciously quickened my pace. Kaya's probing was more than obvious. She had witnessed the intimacy between Charlie and me. Now, doing all this in front of me was just to prove how much Charlie liked her. Kaya and I share the same birthday. The next time I saw Charlie was on our birthday. He came to my house to pick up Kaya. Happy birthday. Charlie gently stroked her head. I was about to leave quietly when Kaya called out to me. Charlie, today is also my sister's birthday. You should wish her a happy birthday too. I saw Charlie pause noticeably. Clearly, he had forgotten. Then he looked at me with a complex expression. I couldn't help but feel awkward, the embarrassment rising. You guys just enjoy your relationship without involving me. I forced a helpless smile, covering my deep sense of shame. Even though I occasionally fantasized that maybe Charlie was just trying to get back at me by being with Kaya. At this moment, I had to admit, he really had fallen for Kaya. Kaya has never let down her guard around me. I went camping in the mountains with friends and got separated unexpectedly. Before I could find a way down, the sky suddenly turned dark. A torrential downpour began, and my phone lost signal. But I remembered seeing a few houses halfway up the mountain when we came. Just as I was about to head there, Kaya and Charlie found me. Sis! I heard a faint voice from a distance and stopped in my tracks. Kaya ran towards me, with Charlie following behind her. When she was about 2 or 3 meters away from me, Kaya fell. She twisted her left ankle. Charlie and I rushed to her side simultaneously. How are you, Kaya? Charlie and I asked at the same time. My foot hurts so much, Charlie. Tears mixed with rainwater on Kaya's face, making her look pitiful and disheveled. Charlie's eyes were filled with pain, and his voice softened. I'll carry you down the mountain. Good girl, bear with it. I helped Kaya onto Charlie's back. Take it slow. As soon as I spoke, Charlie interrupted me coldly. He took 2 steps back with Kaya on his back, his gaze impatient. Karina, can't you learn not to trouble others? If we hadn't come out to find you, Kaya wouldn't have gotten hurt. I was taken aback. Kaya tugged at his sleeve from behind. All right, stop talking. I came back to my senses and lowered my eyes. Sorry for worrying you. We descended the mountain in silence. I had accidentally scratched my calf while looking for a way down earlier. Blood kept oozing out. When Charlie took Kaya to the hospital, I went along to get my wound treated. Sis, are you hurt too? Kaya looked at my calf. Charlie paused his action of holding Kaya and followed her gaze to look at me. His expression darkened even more. You got hurt and didn't say anything? As he spoke, he walked towards me, intending to carry me to the car. I subtly avoided his hand. It's just a small wound, it's nothing. Can you listen for once, Karina? Let me check if it's infected. He seemed to forget Kaya's presence and squatted in front of me. Really, it's not necessary. I avoided him. I'll wait for you in the car. When I turned around, I met Kaya's bloodless face. Maybe it was from that moment on, to prevent me from getting closer to Charlie. She became more and more distant from me, even to the point of falsely accusing me of bullying her. But this time, I didn't plan to endure her. When I got home with a swollen face, Kaya was leaning on the second-floor railing, drinking milk tea. When she looked at me, her innocent eyes blinked. My anger surged to the peak in an instant. I walked upstairs and grabbed her shoulder. I slapped her hard across the face. Didn't you say I had someone beat you up? I curled my lips. If I don't make this accusation true, it really wouldn't justify the slaps I took. Sis. Kaya had barely spoken a word when I slapped her again. Charlie arrived at my house before me. He came out of Kaya's room and happened to see the scene. He immediately pulled my hand away. Karina! His voice was icy. Don't force me to get physical with you. I sneered and was about to slap him back when he grabbed my wrist. I struggled desperately. Charlie's other hand also reached for me. In the chaos, a pair of hands pushed my back. I tumbled down the stairs in front of me. Karina! Charlie roared. My head hit the protruding corner of the cabinet. My consciousness blurred. Before I completely lost consciousness, I saw the front door open. A familiar figure ran towards me. It seemed to be Damon Hargrave, who had been on a business trip for 2 months. My stepbrother. When I groggily woke up, it was already late. 2 people were standing by the bed, talking. The patient has a blood clot in the brain and may experience temporary amnesia after waking up. Okay. My eyelids were so heavy that I couldn't open them, and I fell back asleep again. The second time, I probably hadn't slept for long. When I woke up, it was still dark outside the window. A strange man was sitting by my bedside. Does your head still hurt? His voice was very gentle. I looked at him and shook my head. Then I realized that I didn't remember anything. So I had to bluntly ask the person in front of me. I seem to have lost my memory. May I ask who you are? His expression showed no surprise. Instead, it carried a hint of a smile. The man touched my lips gently with his hand. Your boyfriend. He knew I didn't believe him, so he handed me my phone. Then he sent me a message from his own phone. I had saved his contact as Damon Hargrave. Why is our chat history blank? Because you were afraid others would find out about our relationship. You always deleted it. Damon replied smoothly. I continued to look at my phone, half believing, half doubting. I reviewed past chat records with others. I began to get a partial understanding of my identity. I also learned that Damon was my stepbrother. I looked up at him, puzzled. But aren't we siblings in name? He leaned in close to me, his fingertip brushing my cheek. His gaze didn't waver at all. So we've always been secretly. Secretly what? His gaze followed his words downward. Secretly dating, secretly kissing, secretly doing. The door was suddenly pushed open, interrupting Damon's words. Karina. I had a photo of this person on my phone. It was Charlie Dobson, my sister Kaya's boyfriend. Karina's body hasn't recovered yet. Can you come to see her another time? Damon spoke in a very polite tone. But Charlie acted as if he hadn't heard and took another step towards me. Damon's smile didn't change. The next second, 2 suited bodyguards walked into the ward. After glancing at Damon, they directly dragged Charlie out. I inexplicably withdrew my gaze and focused on the present issue. I looked at Damon again. Are we really boyfriend and girlfriend? Of course. If you don't believe it, let's take our time to get used to it, okay? The man's voice was gentle. Karina, I'll help you slowly remember the feeling of liking me. His long fingers gently held my cheek. I instinctively rubbed against them. Okay. After being discharged from the hospital, Damon took me to his private villa. It was just in time for summer vacation. Damon simply asked for leave on my behalf, and I would make up the exams when school started. When we got out of the car in the parking lot, Damon scooped me up in his arms and carried me to the elevator. He looked down at me and spoke gently. Is it uncomfortable for you to be held like this? During my hospital stay, Damon's meticulous care had already made me somewhat desensitized to him. I felt my ears heat up. No, it's not, brother. I replied softly. The man chuckled and adjusted his hold on me. My chin rested on his shoulder, inexplicably giving me a sense of security. As the elevator doors were about to close, a hand blocked them. Karina. It was Charlie who had hurried over, his black hair slightly damp with sweat on his forehead. You just agreed to live with him so easily? There was a hint of anger in his eyes. I didn't understand why my sister's boyfriend was always bothering me. But it was never a good thing. Moreover, Damon had shown me the surveillance footage from home. From that angle, it was clear that he and my biological sister had pushed me down the stairs. So when I looked at Charlie again, my gaze unconsciously carried a bit of hostility. What does it have to do with you? My biological father and stepmother were on vacation in the southern hemisphere. Damon was the only one who took care of me during my hospital stay. And naturally, he became the only person I trusted after my amnesia. Do you really not remember me? Charlie raised his hand, trying to pull me. Clearly, you were always closest to me. His dry and hoarse voice made him seem somewhat pathetic. I didn't believe him. And inexplicably, I felt a strong aversion to this person from the bottom of my heart. I retracted my hand that was placed on Damon's chest. Brother. I frowned, looking at my silent boyfriend. Yes? Why don't you chase him away? Allowing someone to pester your girlfriend. I pursed my lips, looking at him with some disapproval. You're making me feel a bit embarrassed. I spoke seriously, expecting to provoke Damon's displeasure. But he just chuckled lightly, as if he agreed with me. My fault. He rubbed the back of my head and pressed me into his embrace. In the darkness, the sounds around me became clearer. Didn't I tell you last time not to disturb her rest? Damon sounded like he was gently inquiring. Charlie, stubborn, smirked without any real smile. Do I need you to tell me? You'd better put Karina down now. In the next moment, through the crack, I saw Damon's bodyguards silently appear again. One of them directly kicked Charlie to the ground, kneeling in front of Damon. Charlie gritted his teeth. You. Damon covered my exposed ear with his hand. But I could still vaguely hear. The man's tone remained gentle, yet it carried an undeniable authority. He seemed like a noble judge elegantly sentencing a criminal. I don't like others pestering Karina. Just like you wouldn't want your sister in Burlington to mysteriously disappear, right? Charlie instantly fell silent. This is my last warning to you. Damon didn't wait for his response and carried me back into the elevator. There were sounds of punches and kicks behind us. Damn Hargrave, threatening me won't work. I'll wait for the day Karina remembers, and I will reconcile with her sooner or later. Don't forget, Karina didn't like you at all before she lost her memory. I heard the rest of his words intermittently. But before I could delve into these issues, another troubling matter was placed before me. It instantly diverted my attention. Are we going to live in one room? I recalled what Damon had said before, hesitating about how to bring it up. He just carried me straight into a room. You'll sleep here. Saying that, he placed me by the bed. It was a very girly bedroom. He knew I hadn't remembered yet and didn't force me to live with him. He really respected me. I watched his back, my heartbeat seemed to skip a beat. Damon remembered what I liked to eat, what I didn't, and what I was allergic to. He even remembered many of my little habits. I began to gradually believe that we were once a couple. The main reason was that I found myself starting to like him a little. Damon was very busy. But no matter how busy he would always find time to take me out for a walk and come home to have dinner with me. Then, he would work late into the night in his study. I always felt that I should do something for him. So, I followed a recipe on the computer and learned to make soup for him. As I was carefully adding salt, a pair of hands wrapped around my waist. Making soup? The man's breath tickled my ear. Yes. A warmth spread through my ear. Who are you making it for? I felt he was asking the obvious. But I answered seriously, for you, brother. Good girl. He hugged me from behind. His lips seemed to rest on my earlobe, almost but not quite kissing. Does this kind of hug make you uncomfortable? No. Actually, I wanted to say, no matter how you hug me, I'm already used to it. That day, Damon stopped at this. I didn't expect that our next step would be initiated by me. That day was the first rainy day since I lost my memory. The cold night wind accompanied by bursts of thunder made me a little scared. Wearing my nightdress, I knocked on Damon's room door. What's wrong? I looked up, feeling a bit shy. Brother, can I sleep with you? I'm a little scared. He looked down at me, not answering immediately. I felt a bit awkward. Aren't we supposed to be a couple? Was this suggestion that difficult for him to decide? He had even said something about secretly doing things before. As I was sinking deeper into my thoughts, I was suddenly lifted up by a pair of hands around my waist. Damon held me face to face, sitting me in his arms. Okay. He looked into my eyes and spoke softly. Seeing the nearly person-sized distance between us, I couldn't help but feel puzzled. My boyfriend seemed a bit too gentlemanly. A sudden clap of thunder roared. I jumped and hid in his arms. Brother, don't be afraid. The man's hand gently stroked my back. I'm here, don't be afraid, okay? His voice was close to my ear, the distance suddenly shortened. I lifted my head from his chest, feeling my face heat up. Are we really a couple? If we are, why haven't you ever kissed me? He pressed my back, pulling me towards him. He pinched my chin and lifted it, forcing me to meet his gaze. Do you want to kiss? I bit my lip, not answering. This question was too straightforward. Damon's thumb caressed my lower lip. Have you fallen for me? I thought for a moment and nodded slightly. I think I have. The man smiled and kissed me slowly. At first, he just brushed against my lips, lightly biting, until I couldn't help but make a sound. Then he pried open my teeth, sweeping away the air in my mouth. I didn't know when, but he had already turned over on top of me. He pinned my wrists. Our fingers intertwined ambiguously. The man looked down at me from above. Karina. Yes. His other hand was already caressing the edge of my clothes. Almost but not quite entering. Do you want to take the next step? What's the next step? I didn't react immediately, still slightly panting. The man's fingertips had already slipped under my shirt, caressing my waist. There was a hint of desire in his eyes. Damon lowered his body, intentionally letting me feel it. This is the next step. This might be the hottest spot on this bed, even through 2 layers of fabric. Are you scared? He bit my earlobe. I shivered instinctively, struggling to find the right words. Fortunately, Damon didn't make it difficult for me and quickly pulled away. Go to sleep first. He patted my head and went straight into the bathroom. I have amnesia, but I'm not stupid. With just a door between us, I knew what he was doing. The sound from the bathroom stimulated my eardrums, making me more awake. By the time Damon, with his body cool from the shower, lay down, I was still wide awake. Brother. I felt a bit embarrassed but still moved closer. Can we kiss a little longer? I asked him, blushing. Damon turned his head slightly, raising an eyebrow. I found his kisses very comfortable, like teasing a peeled lychee with his lips. How do you want to kiss? He moved closer without showing any emotion. Like just now? I suppressed the urge to hide under the covers and nodded. Damon propped himself up with both hands by my ears and leaned down to give a light kiss. Not like that. I got a bit anxious. He kissed the corner of my lips densely, his voice right by my lips. Then how, Karina? Show me how. I knew he was doing it on purpose. But his coaxing tone in the already ambiguous atmosphere made me a little dizzy. Almost involuntarily, I wrapped my arms around his neck, leaning up slightly to find his lips. Like he did just now. Opening my mouth, prying open his teeth. Just as I was still wanting more, Damon let go of me again. Karina. His breath was a bit heavy. I stared at his lips, leaning in again. You should sleep. Damon blocked my kiss, pressing his hand on my shoulder to stop my movement. I pursed my lips and replied softly, okay. I didn't insist anymore, otherwise, he would have to go to the bathroom for the 3rd time tonight. That day was the first time I saw Kaya after waking up from the hospital. Although I knew she was the one who pushed me down. But my injuries hadn't fully healed yet, and I was worried about my fighting strength, so I didn't rush to settle the score with her. Unexpectedly, she came to me first. At that time, I was climbing onto Damon's lap, straddling him. Brother. I pulled the tablet out of his hands and tossed it aside. We haven't kissed today. I seriously reminded him of his boyfriend duties. It wasn't because I particularly wanted to kiss him. Damon leaned back on the sofa, a bit lazy in his expression. Do it yourself. His hand just rested on my waist. He had no intention of initiating a kiss. All right then. I reluctantly hesitated for a second before bending down to bite his lips. Can you be gentler? I pulled back a little, looking at him apologetically. Did I hurt you? A barely noticeable smile appeared on the corner of his lips. His hand slid to my back and pressed down suddenly. I fell onto his chest unprepared. A little bit, he said. I apologized to him, then put my hands on his shoulders, gently approaching his lips. Karina! A sharp female voice interrupted the kiss. I looked towards the direction of the voice. Kaya was standing by the window, her eyes filled with rage. Just as well, I wanted to see her too. Sis, can you explain to me why you're living with our stepbrother Damon? Kaya took a step closer to me, seemingly suppressing her anger. I remember you used to avoid him like the plague. I was puzzled, because he's my boyfriend. That's what he tricked you into believing. Kaya sneered, you never liked him before. At this point, I still didn't understand why she was so determined to clear up my relationship with Damon. I turned to look at Damon. He was just sitting on the sofa, calmly watching me. I redirected my attention back to Kaya, focusing on the main issue. This is none of your business. I just want to ask you, what were you thinking when you pushed your own sister down the stairs? Her face was pale as she looked at me with resentment. Her lower lip was almost bitten through. Are you still planning to settle accounts with me? Are you still not satisfied, sister? Tears suddenly fell from her eyes as she looked at Damon. Didn't Damon get the school to cancel my competition qualification for you? I wasn't allowed to participate in any events throughout my university years. All those years of hard piano practice were wasted. I blinked. So Damon had already stood up for me. Kaya walked up to Damon, holding back her tears. As long as I've known you, sister has known you too. Why do you favor her? I paused, finally realizing. Kaya seemed to have unusual feelings for Damon. What did Charlie mean then? While I was still entangled in this complex love quadrangle, I saw my dear sister reaching out to grab my boyfriend. I immediately stepped forward and slapped her hand away. Don't you have a boyfriend? Why are you clinging to someone else's boyfriend? Then I turned around and glared at Damon. He didn't even try to avoid her, but he just looked at me emotionlessly. Without blinking, I decided to deal with the immediate problem first. Kaya, don't think you're pitiful just because you were banned from competitions. I was pushed down the stairs by you and hospitalized for over a month. Aren't you standing here just fine? I'll deal with this slowly with you. She gave a bleak smile. How you plan to deal with me is just a matter of one word, isn't it? After all, he's willing to do anything for you. Kaya stared at Damon, as if expecting him to look at her. But when I followed her gaze, Damon's eyes were still on me. It was like she gave up, pulled a mocking smile, and left. Don't you have anything to explain? Once again, it was just the two of us in the room. I began to settle accounts with Damon. The man remained as composed as ever but lowered his eyes, avoiding my gaze. He wore his usual casual smile. She's right, I lied to you. Before you lost your memory, you didn't like me at all. I looked at him quietly. Suddenly, I glimpsed the sadness hidden beneath his nonchalant tone. He didn't even urge me to respond, as if he had no expectations from me. Previously, he would only hug me proactively, even kisses were initiated by me, including the abrupt end that night which now had an explanation. Damon wasn't unwilling. He was just afraid that if one day I regained my memory, I would hate him. The increasingly stifling atmosphere in the room was broken by my light hum. Let's put this aside for now. Can you explain something more important to me first? I forced a stiff smile, my voice turning cold. Just now when Kaya pulled you, why didn't you avoid her? Whose boyfriend has such little sense of boundaries? He raised his eyes slightly, meeting my gaze calmly. For a long time, the faint breeze slipping through the window dispelled the gloom in his eyes. Come here. I walked up to him with the intention of having a serious discussion. Before I could speak, I was pulled into his embrace. His slightly hoarse voice sounded in my ear. Yeah, my fault. He tightened his hold on me. I promise I won't let her touch me again. Can you forgive me? I nuzzled his neck, hugging him back. With my lower face buried in his collarbone, my voice came out muffled. Don't let it happen again, I get jealous. He remained silent, holding me. I turned my head slightly and kissed his cheek. Sweetheart, love is a feeling, not a memory. Even if I remember everything, I won't stop liking you. Don't worry. I patted his back gently to comfort him. Damon chuckled lightly. He lifted me and pressed me into the sofa, continuing what had been interrupted by Kaya. As our lips and tongues entwined, his hand held my neck, pressing me closer. The kiss began to move downward. Do you want to go further, Karina? I wrapped my arms around his neck, leaning close to his ear. I softly retorted. It's obviously you who wants to. The man paused his kisses on my neck. With a light smile, yes, it's me who wants to. In the next second, I was lifted from the sofa and carried to the bedroom. Daytime combined with a first experience. The double impact truly left me nowhere to hide. I kept my eyes tightly shut, not daring to look at the person hovering above me. Open your eyes, Karina. He always had a way of making me obey. If I didn't open my eyes soon, I wouldn't be able to hold back my voice. Our eyes met, and desire surged. Damon pressed my chin, forcing me to open my mouth to accept his kiss. This is more interesting than kissing. His shoulders were covered in fine sweat. Don't you like it, Karina? I was already in a daze. Like a piece of driftwood floating on the sea, swaying and bobbing. Sometimes it felt like gentle waves lapping, but mostly it was like the harsh impact of striking a reef. The fragile driftwood board weaving through the rocks, crashing from one side to the other. The only constant was the force. At this moment, fighting with Damon was futile. So, I mustered my strength to answer. I like it. As soon as the words left my mouth, I felt myself being released after a rapid current. I was washed ashore by the swift stream. Limp and tranquil, I lay there, and declared that as a piece of driftwood, I no longer wished to go back to sea. But clearly, Damon did not think so. He seemed to have discovered a new world. After exploring from multiple angles, he wanted to explore different locations. For example, the balcony, the kitchen counter, and even the car in the parking garage. Damon, let me go. I leaned weakly against him. What did you call me? His hand playfully teased my earlobe. Brother. His hand returned to my shoulder. Yeah. It will end soon. I breathed a sigh of relief. Kaya and Charlie broke up. As the blood clot in my brain dissipated, I slowly began to remember things from the past. I wasn't surprised when I heard the news. I understood my younger sister Kaya very well. After she was born, our parents became busier with work. She received too little love, and combined with our parents' divorce right around her high school entrance exams, she faced double the pressure. It was this lack of love and her twisted competitive nature that shaped her into who she is today. Kaya never liked Charlie. The person she had always secretly liked was Damon. That late night, I received a call from Kaya. Sis, why does everyone like you? She choked out her grievances. Being with Charlie was her way of sending me a message. So what if your best childhood friend likes me more than you? In her subconscious, Kaya saw me as her biggest rival and competitor. Her insecurity about Charlie wasn't out of jealousy. She simply didn't want to see Charlie treat me better than he treated her. To put it simply, she wanted the whole world to like her the most. Damon liking me was completely unexpected for her. To have the person she secretly liked fall for her rival was too much for her to bear. She knew better than to confess to Damon. But I ended up being with him. When Kaya drunkenly called Damon, I was sitting in his lap, playing Angry Birds on his phone. Seeing Kaya's call, I answered it. Can you only see my sister? Tell me, how am I worse than her? On the other end of the line, the girl cried out her grievances. But Damon wasn't listening at all. He kissed down my ear while opening the drawer of the bedside table. 3 left. He bit my ear lightly, his breath teasing. That's enough. But I wasn't in the mood yet. I pushed Damon's hand away and sneered at the voice on the phone. Kaya, treating your own sister as a rival, you really are something. There was silence on the other end. I was furious with my morally twisted sister, ready to lecture her for hours. Damon was already impatient. Are you done? He took the phone, hung up, and threw it aside. Karina, help me out first, okay? The fire was ready to ignite. The flames spreading through the wilderness needed a rainstorm to extinguish them. Until the rain ceased, the wilderness would come back to life. But the one bringing the rain was exhausted. Early the next morning, I had only slept a few hours when I got a call from the hospital. Kaya had been drunk driving the night before and crashed into a tree. Not only was her license revoked, but her right leg would also be in a cast for a while. I couldn't forgive everything Kaya had done to me. But I couldn't push her down the stairs myself. I could only say I wasn't as cold-blooded as she was. This car accident was her lesson. Later, I went to the hospital to see Kaya. Her eyes were clearer than before, and she didn't mention Damon again. But her words were weak. I'm sorry, sis. I couldn't bring myself to say it's okay, so I remained silent. Before I left, she suddenly mentioned Charlie. Sis, didn't you notice? Charlie likes you. I didn't take her words to heart. Until I saw Charlie again. Damon was invited to support the opening of a new private shooting range by a wealthy young man. I want to go too. Can you teach me how to shoot? I excitedly shook Damon's sleeve. If I had known Charlie would be there too, I wouldn't have gone myself, nor would I have let Damon go to make things difficult for himself. When we arrived, there were already quite a few people in the range. Almost everyone who saw Damon came over to greet him. Except for the young man wearing noise-canceling headphones in the distance. Charlie was completely isolated from the outside world, immersed in aiming his target. Damon, how about a match? Damon looked down at me. I nodded vigorously. I've never seen you shoot before. He raised an eyebrow slightly and agreed. After putting on the gear, Damon raised his hand to aim. Everyone instinctively quieted down, holding their breath. Bang! A bullet hole appeared on the target. Only 6 points. Damon smiled and put down the gun, playing with it casually. Sorry, Mr. Hargrave. Charlie walked in from the outer area, apologizing insincerely. My hand slipped, and I hit your target. After speaking, he glanced at Damon, finally resting his gaze on me. Damon hadn't had a chance to fire. The 6 points just now were shot by Charlie, deliberately trying to embarrass Damon. Hurry! Apologized to Mr. Hargrave. Someone reminded Charlie. In high society, class distinctions are more pronounced. Damon was at the top, and Charlie had just squeezed into this circle. He was arrogant and flamboyant at school, but here, he was nothing. Damon took off his headphones and sat down on the sofa next to me. Charlie didn't move either. The situation gradually became tense. I was just careless. Mr. Hargrave won't mind such a small matter, right? Charlie leaned against the railing, pulling out a smile. Damon didn't respond. He rarely lit a cigarette, holding it between his fingers. He took a light puff before speaking with a smile. You didn't take my warning seriously. Charlie sneered. My sister is back in the country. What do you want to threaten me with this time? Tell me, I'm listening. Damon seemed to laugh at the young man's naivety. He tapped the ash off his cigarette, his gaze casually falling on the marble ashtray. Why would I want to threaten you? Charlie slowly withdrew his smile, as if not understanding Damon's calm demeanor. After extinguishing the remaining half of the cigarette, Damon slowly spoke. Press his head against the target. He didn't even specify who should do it, but someone immediately walked towards Charlie. Among this group of people were Charlie's friends. But no one dared to offend Damon. Everyone's stance was clear. Charlie, outnumbered, was quickly forced against the target. Hargrave, what do you mean? Using my head as a target? He provocatively challenged, if you have the guts, shoot at my head. As soon as he finished speaking, mocking laughter erupted around him, blatantly mocking Charlie's overestimation of himself. Brother. I felt unfamiliar with this side of Damon, tugging at his sleeve and calling him softly. Damon picked up the headphones and put them on me. I teach you how to shoot. He led me over, placing the handgun in my hand. Holding my hand from behind, he lifted it, aiming at Charlie's forehead. I couldn't help but tremble. His lips almost touched my ear. He chuckled lightly, don't be afraid. Across from us, Charlie went from shouting recklessly to now being silent and tense. A quick turnaround. Damon didn't rush to pull the trigger, just looked at Charlie again. Repeat your last sentence. Charlie pressed his lips together, silent. It was clear he was scared but unwilling to admit it. Damon's smile didn't change as he suddenly pressed my hand to fire above Charlie's head. The bullet grazed his hair, hitting the target. I said, repeat it. Damon took it from my hand, directly aiming it at Charlie, gently reminding him again. The young man, pressed down and unable to move, was startled back to his senses by the shot. Cold sweat dripped from his forehead. He pressed his lips tightly, reluctantly speaking after a long pause. If you have the guts, shoot at my head. Very good. Damon fired 2 more shots, the bullets grazing past his face. Charlie remained silent, but his pale face showed he was deeply frightened. When the person pressing him down suddenly let go, he staggered. A sign of weak legs. Even though he knew Damon wouldn't actually shoot him, he was still scared that a stray bullet might hit him. Finding ways to grasp someone's weakness and then threatening them is a tactic reserved for equals. But to Damon, Charlie was nothing. Crushing him underfoot was a piece of cake. With absolute capability. As evening approached, the young master who organized the gathering had already arranged a hotel for us to stay in. I thought Charlie would have left after being humiliated like that. But not only did he stay, he was in the room next to ours. Were you scared by that shot today? Damon sat on the edge of the bed, playing with my hand. I immediately knelt up and scooted closer to him. Not at all. I knew you were just trying to scare Charlie. It wasn't a real bullet, he deserved it. I remember he used to bully me. In my gradually recovering memories, it seemed that Charlie had once had someone slap me. I just thought it was really exciting. I felt a bit unsatisfied. Damon pinched my fingertips, a slight curve appearing on his lips. You like excitement? I nodded instantly, about to ask him to continue teaching me to shoot tomorrow. But then, the man picked up the tie he had just taken off and wrapped it around my hands, binding my wrists slowly and methodically. Don't you like excitement? That's not exactly what I meant. Afraid that the hotel room wasn't soundproof, I bit my teeth tightly during the first half. Damon noticed and reached out to pinch my jaw, pushing it down. My eyes widened immediately. Make some noise, Karina. Of course, this was his gentle side, still willing to discuss with me. In this regard, he had plenty of ways to make me speak up. As I prayed desperately that the room was soundproof, the door was knocked on. My entire body tensed up, causing Damon to let out a soft hiss. Hello, other guests have reported that you seem to be disturbing their rest. Could you please? I didn't know how the hotel staff said this without any emotion, but Damon didn't show the slightest embarrassment. Instead, he interrupted the person outside. Whoever is disturbed can come and tell me themselves. After saying that, he ignored the person outside and turned his attention back to me. Relax. He patted me suggestively. It was obvious that the person who complained was Charlie. Normally, he would have kicked the door down by now. But today, Damon had just dealt with him. He didn't have the guts to cause a scene, so he had to find another way to show his displeasure. High-intensity exercise is really exhausting. When Damon went back to the bathroom, I changed clothes and went to the 24-hour convenience store on the next floor to buy some snacks. Karina. I paused and turned warily to look at Charlie. He tugged at the corner of his mouth. It's really hard to see you. That guy Hargrave is watching you too closely. Do you need something? My back was so sore that I couldn't stand for long, and I had no energy for small talk. I know it might be too late to say anything now. You're in love with Damon, and even if I wanted to help you remember the past, you wouldn't believe me. He looked exhausted, his eyes dull. It seemed that since I woke up, this guy in front of me had been getting more and more disheveled each time I saw him. He no longer had the confident look he used to have. I've remembered a lot. Charlie's eyes lit up. Really? Do you remember that we were once the closest of childhood friends? I quietly watched him and shook my head. I remember that the person you liked was Kaya. You treated her well, peeled shrimp for her, and took her out for her birthday. I also remember that you had someone slap me because of her, didn't you? There was panic in his eyes, and he opened his mouth as if to explain something, but he couldn't say a word. Kaya said you liked me. I looked at him, puzzled. Charlie seemed to feel that his affection was unworthy, and after a long while, he softly said, yes. But if you liked me, why didn't you remember my birthday? And why did you have someone hit me? It doesn't make sense. Charlie laughed self-deprecatingly. Yes, I was a jerk. Karina, I know you don't believe me, but the person I've always liked is you. As for your sister, I was with her at first just to annoy you. But she looks like you, though her personality is completely different. It was like seeing another you, and I couldn't help but like her for a while. But when you fell down the stairs, I realized that you were the most important to me. Although what Damon did this afternoon already made me feel better, I couldn't help but slap him again after hearing this. You really are despicable. He didn't move, letting me hit him. But even touching his hand made me uncomfortable. Karina, I'll let you hit me as much as you want, just forgive me, okay? After he finished speaking, he tried to grab my hand and hit himself with it. The first part of your suggestion isn't bad. Damon appeared out of nowhere. His bodyguard stopped Charlie from moving. This is what you asked for. Damon's eyes were full of satisfied laughter. Before Charlie could react, the bodyguard slapped him hard. A bodyguard standing at 1.8 meters and weighing 160 to 170 pounds hits much harder than I do. Ouch, that looked painful. I blinked and looked away. The man in front of me hadn't even dried his hair, the black strands on his forehead still slightly damp. He looked exactly the same as he did an hour ago when he was sweating slightly from his intense actions. Brother, my back is sore. Can you carry me back? I stretched out my arms to him. He gently asked back, if your back is sore, how can you stand here chatting for so long? Okay, I got dragged into this by Charlie. Just as I was about to withdraw my stiff arms, Damon picked me up. Once again, I was sitting in the crook of his arm. I wrapped my arms around his neck and explained earnestly, it was him who stopped me, not letting me go. I'm not lying to you, my back really is sore. If you want to do anything else, it might break. Damon didn't listen to my threats at all. He physically proved that my back was indeed not broken. Didn't you go downstairs to buy snacks just now? The light in front of me flickered, and I nodded instinctively. There was a rustling sound in my ear. Then, I was picked up and seated. Weren't you hungry? Damon tore off a piece of bread and fed it to me. Is feeding me now a way of telling me that there's still a long way to go and I need to replenish my energy? I opened my mouth and ate it. At this moment, my hatred for Charlie reached its peak. Karina. I felt Damon looking at me, but I was too tired to even lift my eyelids. You can really eat, he commented in a low voice. Because of Damon's influence over this period, I almost immediately realized he might be implying something else. Chewing on the bread, I idly thought of some things. When I was 17, Charlie and I had a fight by the road. The sun had already set, and he didn't even look at me, just put on his helmet and rode off on his motorcycle. I walked alone by the roadside in the suburbs. There wasn't even a car nearby. Kaya was still at school, so I could only call Damon. Brother, can you send someone to pick me up? I politely asked the stepbrother I wasn't familiar with. Are you alone? Yes. Send me your location. Okay, thank you, brother. Half an hour later, a black car stopped in front of me. But it was Damon who got out of the car. I didn't expect him to come in person. After all, my stepmother always said how busy Damon was. Back then, it was the same season as now, just the beginning of spring. The cold wind still carried a strong chill. Probably because I had been in the wind too long, I felt dizzy shortly after sitting in the passenger seat. I fell asleep in a daze. Later, Damon stopped the car and carried me out of the passenger seat. I couldn't open my eyes at all, and my voice was slurred. Thank you, brother. Keep sleeping. Oh. Before I could finish speaking, I fell asleep again. That wasn't the first time Damon helped me clean up a mess. I think everyone's love leaves traces. Even for someone as reserved as Damon. I slowly came back to my senses. I raised my hand to hug the man's shoulder above me. Damon. Yes. I love you. He bit my earlobe. I love you too. It was a satisfying ending. At this moment, I suddenly felt that this amnesia wasn't entirely a bad thing. That day when I woke up in the hospital bed. On a spring night, I heard the first lie. I'm your boyfriend. My believing it was the start of this story.